Audience exclusive.
Welcome to another episode of Beautiful Subconscious. I'm your host, Shell Marie, and today I have my very first guest, a very special guest, a very dear friend to me. And her name is Karen Louise. And so Karen and I are both just preferring to live our lives by our first and middle names because last names, who needs them really? So I will introduce you to who she is and how I have beautiful Karen into my world. Karen is a quantum healer, a soul empowerment coach, network marketing leader, and retreat facilitator. And her background is in nutrition and hospitality. Driven by a desire for personal freedom and fulfillment, 8 years ago, Karen decided to embark on a journey of creating her own online business where she could be a location independent and create a life by design. After going through a divorce 4.5 years ago, she went through a sudden shift that made her realize that she was living a misaligned life. Through a deep dive into inner work, she rebuilt her life, found her true purpose, and chose to transform her pain into a positive message. Today, Karen's mission is to empower others to overcome their limiting beliefs, heal from past traumas, and create a life they absolutely love. She believes your frequency is your biggest currency, and with the right mindset, you can create your own heaven on earth. Karen is committed to paving the way in this new paradigm we are creating, helping to raise vibration of the planet and upgrading levels of consciousness. She loves to guide and empower beautiful souls to reclaim sovereignty over their time, finances, and overall well-being. Karen has a passion for helping people unlock their inner gifts and magic and step into their full potential, and loves to support them in creating a holistic lifestyle that is perfectly aligned to them. Welcome, my beautiful friend, Karen. How are you?
Oh, thank you, gorgeous, so much. It's so beautiful to be in this space with you.
It absolutely is. So what I love firstly about our journey, which I'll give the listeners just a brief update. Karen and I went to high school all those many, many, many moons ago here in Perth, Australia, Leeming High to be specific. We'll just name drop that. And I remember very clearly one of our first interactions was so it was a public school, so you could somewhat push the boundaries a little more with uniform. Not that they obviously, they didn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Like encourage that. However, I saw Karen in these exact same heels that I had, and we wore them the same day to school without obviously knowing each other or planning that with each other. But the moment I saw that she was rocking these heels, and I, as young teenagers at high school, like what were we thinking wearing heels to high school for starters? But we were just owning that. And I knew from then we were going to be dear, dear friends. And do you remember that?
I do. They were actually called jellyfish shoes, in case anyone in our audience, had a pair of themselves. But we hit it off, and then we were linked arms, and we were glued at the hip for quite a while there. And
we absolutely were.
We went and worked at Chicken Treat.
Oh, that's right.
The fast food place, and we used to get the giggles while we were on the headsets together, and we would, sneak chips here and there. So
I forgot about that. I mean, good for them for hiring two best friends to work together. Like, what were they thinking?
I know, right? That is 25 years ago. Like,
oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Incredible seeing you grow. And you've got two beautiful kids, and like you're just making such an impact. So I am just celebrating you, my love.
Oh, thank you, honey. Back at you. And that's the thing, like our journey has, we've taken our paths, and there's one way or another that we link back up, and it is of pure just support and genuine love and just inspiration of each other's journey. And if there is one word that I could really describe you, there's many, but one that comes to mind for me, it's courageous. Like, I really feel like you take these courageous leaps into your journey and you just trust within it and just allow and allow and allow. So that is what I really feel so special to be in your presence when that is what you generate, because you inspire me with that. And I think courage can be something that we can intellectualize and want more of, but to actually take action with that courage, it's not always easy for everyone. So I guess to start, I would love to hear how courage and that muscle of courage became to be, so significant for you, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's funny, I do share my freedom and courage codes quite a lot, but I think it comes back. I was 19 and I packed a whole suitcase and I'm just kind of like fly by the seat of my pants. And I was like, I'm really feeling called to Canada and traveling around. And I was like, if I apply for the visa and if I get approved, and that's a sign, and I'll book my ticket. That was how just light I was about it all.
Mm-hmm.
And everything fell into place. And then I kind of left 19, I one suitcase. I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing. I probably only had, enough money to last me a couple of months, but it was just like, I always remember someone saying to me, you will always regret not going, but you can't regret going. And that always just ingrained into every cell of my being. And that's how I really approach life. Like, just go for it. Like, what is the worst that could possibly happen, right? And I don't even believe in failures. It's always a lesson that you get to embody. And I do believe, courage is a gateway to manifestation. Like, yes. You go first, and the universe will have your back and will follow. And I've just always done things like shit scared, and just put myself out there and just stretch myself to the, lean into those edges. And I was like, yes. I didn't die. Oh, I'm still here. Okay. And I've always just thought, if I want to live a big, bold, extraordinary life, I'm going to have to do something different and get out of the norm, right? And stretch my comfort zone. And that's just kind of, I'm an Aries, and I've just always been kind of driven and a go-getter. And I think that's something that I really embody, is that courage codes.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, there's so many things that you just said within that, where it was just obviously stretching those edges and really feeling the lean into that. So I guess that's what we can interface with a lot of people that might feel that edge is, having that risk take, or they're being a bit more risk averse in their day, especially as they get older, as us as women grow, whether it's the kids that we consider, which we obviously rightfully so, or the partner or the age bracket, whatever it is. So I guess understanding, or what advice could you give to the people that have lost that muscle for risk taking? What would you suggest?
Gosh, there's so much. I really feel like it's really tuning in and what does my soul truly desire? Like, what am I expanding into the next 6 to 12 months, and really lean into that and get crystal clear, and then just ask a simple question. What is the one piece of aligned action that I can do today? Right? And it's starting off so simple and little bite size, because you don't want to get overwhelmed and think you have to conquer this whole thing in a day, and then people just go into throw it into the bucket and this is not happening, right? But
totally,
I really feel people have forgotten to dream. And when we tap into dreaming is your natural state, right? When we're little kids, we used to dream so much.
Totally. And the imagination was wild. Absolutely.
But first of all, it'd be like, get crystal clear on if money wasn't an option, if you could do anything in the world, what would it be? What is your soul calling in? Not what you think your mind can do, right? There's two very different things. And then from that place, allow yourself to dream and just take one, and then tune in. What is the one aligned action step that I can do today? Just one. Right? And then once you get that muscle, and I always say action builds confidence, right?
Yes.
You start to have a few small wins under your belt, and then that brings that momentum that you just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think you can be overwhelmed with thinking like, I've got to take this big, grand leap of something and it feels kind of reckless. So I'm not going to do that. It's bite size, it's step by step. It's building that momentum. It's allowing yourself these wins and really not honoring that those small wins are vital and there's such value in them. We can so often disregard because we've already got our mind into the end game or wherever that is, the destination. But it's just like those little steps and those little wins are the cornerstone to the bigger dream. And it's like, that's what we need to honor and not devalue, because it's those little steps, those little pieces that will build the dream and become the dream and create the dream. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And celebrate your journey, like enjoy it, because it's not, we're always thinking it's the destination, it's the goal, but it really, what I've learned, it's the person that you get to become.
Yes.
When you stretch yourself and you're like, oh, wow, I actually did that. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. So when you think of, say, what is the first moment in your journey that comes to mind that really stretched you? I mean, I know you shared that you moved to Canada at 19. Absolutely. That would have been one of them for sure. But when you think of the next area of your journey that really stretched you, that was like that pivotal moment of like, all right, this is where I need to be. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but I just know that this is where I need to go. What was that in your journey?
Yeah, great question. What's coming to me to share is, I think I was probably 30, just hit 30. I just finished nutrition school and I had all these hopes and dreams of, working online and, having my own business. And then at the time I was a server and bartender at this really cool wine bar in downtown Vancouver. And it was awesome. Like, I met great people, but I got so sick and tired of working late nights and weekends and the burnout. And my soul is so growth driven. And I just knew that I'm here for massive impact. And I just felt so limited and I felt really stuck. That's where I felt like really at a crossroad, and I was at a choice point. And I was like, I could continue down this path and keep serving tables and, or I could, again, lean into the edges to get out of my comfort zone. And I ended up saying yes to this online business opportunity to start my own business in this health and wellness company. And, I could have listened to the monkey mind. I had no experience. I didn't use social media. I didn't have a following. I previously had a fear of public speaking and didn't want to be seen and all the stuff that keeps us limited and small. But I was like, you know what, Karen, no one's going to come save you, sweetheart. It was like this little talk to myself, like, no
let's get real, Karen.
Yeah. And I was like having a hard look and I'm like, you got to do something if you want that extraordinary freedom lifestyle life where you can go see your family in Australia whenever you want. And you're going to have to get out of the comfort zone and do it. So I just went all in and I was like, all right, what's the worst that can happen? And I was like, I'll give it 6 months, all in, all excuses off the table. Within 6 months, I was able to quit the full-time job of serving and bartending. And I've been doing online entrepreneurship ever since then. So that was kind of the start of my journey. Again, it's just having the courage of like, you don't need to know all the answers. You don't need all the experience. You don't need to know everything, be an expert. You just have to have the courage to start, and then you just figure it out on the way.
It all presents itself. I love that. Like the choice point. Absolutely. When you hit that choice point, it's just like, all right, what are my options here? Am I going in this same direction that is stunting me and I can feel every part of me is repelling this? Or do I just lean into that unknown, which is such a more vast space than what I do know? So then clearly in that vastness, there's a high probability that there's going to be something greater than what I already know. So why wouldn't I just give that a go? And the fact that you put, like, I think it's really valuable to know that, why not just give yourself a time bracket? Like, I think that's the thing. People are like, well, then if I make that choice, then I'm stuck with that choice. Never stuck anywhere. And it's like, you can choose 6 months to just be all in, take off all the BS excuses and just what judgments. And it's just like, all right, if I just commit to 6 months, see what happens. If it doesn't work out, I've tried it, no regrets, something else. You will always take the wisdom and be a more wiser person, and inverted commas better person than what you were had you not done that. So I love that. So that, I guess, leads me to what I wanted to speak to you about as well, is like people in rewriting their stories. How would someone who is just like in that point of their life where they are like something needs to give, whether it's they're in a relationship that they just know they've grown apart or that, and, you know, obviously you and I are both separated. You're in a beautiful relationship now, and we are so love orientated and love driven. However, we also know that there's going to be times where things are going to need to take their natural journey, and it's okay to allow, it's actually, you know, important to allow for that to happen, whatever it looks like, and allowing yourself to commit to you and your soul and what's truly right for you, and knowing that that is of service to the people around you. So whether these people are in relationships or they're stuck in their career or just something that needs to give, what would you say would be, I guess, what advice could you give for people that are just like, I want to rewrite where I'm at. What do I do?
Yeah, I love this so much. And yeah, so much is coming through. First of all, I want to remind, you know, that you are such a powerful co-creator, like powerful beyond measure. And the first thing would be call back your power, right? Call back your power, remind and remember who you are. Remember how powerful you are. And you can change wherever you are right now, whether that's at rock bottom or wherever it is. It doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define how successful you are, how worthy you are. You can, like, every breath to me is a chance to start over. Like, you don't have to wait till Monday. You don't have to wait to the first of the month or the whole new year. Like, you can just, the next hour, the next minute, you can just choose. It comes down to choosing, right?
That choice.
It's again the choice point.
The choice point, right?
And you know, it's really drawing a line in the sand and having more self-respect for yourself, that you deserve better. You deserve to live the most beautiful, fully self-expressed life, and you just have to decide and commit. I think making a decision that you're not going to tolerate that anymore, because a decision is a powerful activator. It actually starts to move energy. And yeah, I think, and then after that, once you've, you know, called back your power, reminded yourself how powerful you are and that you are actually in the driver's seat, right? And we're always manifesting, whether that's unconsciously or consciously. When you know that, don't you want to be that conscious, powerful manifester? Like, I know that to me really empowers me, knowing that we can change. If you don't like your reality, you can change it at any time, right? Because whatever's going on in the inside is your, you know, what's going on in your 3D reality. So then it really comes down. I love asking this question to my clients. You know, if I was living into my big picture reality, what would be going on? Right? Because a lot of the time I ask people what they desire and they have no idea, because again, they've forgotten to dream. They're like, oh, I don't even know how much money I'll make. I don't even know this or that or that. So I think the first thing is getting clarity so that you have that focus point of where your energy is going. And I like to get into this holistic, you know, perspective of everything. I'm very like the holistic lifestyle. So like, how's your health? How's your energy? How's your relationship with yourself, with your partner or your husband or your kids, your workplace? You know, how's your relationship with money? And again, it's getting into detail on all these areas of like, how's your contribution? How is your spirituality? And then really declaring that. And I get them to like speak it into existence or write it out as if it's already done, right? It's so powerful when you're just putting that out to the universe. And then I like to ask, you know, what is actually blocking and stopping me? If I were to know what is actually blocking and stopping me, because we want to pull this stuff under the surface, as you know, Michelle, like the stuff that is so unconscious, that is the self-sabotage, and like really kind of bringing that to the surface so that you have that grounded awareness, that loving awareness, and releasing that, right? And then it's just rewiring these beliefs and really starting with these new habits.
I love that. Yes.
Embodying, this is the hack, is embodying that version, that future version now. Right? So we don't wait until we've got like the money in our bank account to feel grateful or abundant. We embody that now. And then that's where everything time collapses. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, like my reality is shifting so fast because
Exactly.
I've become delusional almost is what I like to say. Like, you know, if we're always so fixated on what's going on around us, we kept perpetuating that same cycle and we kept activating that timeline, right? So it's really hard for us to break through to that next level.
Oh, yes.
So that would be, like I would just like say that you're like such a powerful creator. Like, what are you creating? Get out, like there's a whole clean slate, like a whole painting that's clean and you've got the paintbrush. What are you creating?
Totally.
And, you know, really and tune into that soul because your soul is pure abundance. It's pure light. It's infinite. And not getting caught in that monkey mind, the limitations, the ego, the lower self of like, oh, who are you to dream that big? Or, you know, like really acknowledging that and parking it and tuning back into your soul's desires. So,
so much beautiful wisdom within that. What you said, especially in relation to at the start, where what it is that's in your reality, it's what you're tolerating. So it's like that complete ownership, that complete awareness of like, okay, if I really look around, say externally from me, am I happy in the job that I'm in? Am I happy with the money that I'm making? Am I happy in this relationship? I am happy with my health, my own relationship. Is taking that responsibility, being aware of what you have been tolerating, and then also making that decision, because the decision changes the energy of what's in and around, where you start to collapse that reality and start to create what it is that you actually desire. So that was so freaking powerful. And I think that when people really hear that, it might take it, like that may penetrate a couple of layers, and you just need to keep hearing things like this until it really, really lands and you really get a grip on how much we are energy frequencies that are just tuning into wherever we put our focus. So why wouldn't you want to choose where you are focusing? Why wouldn't you want to dream freaking wildly? Because what's the worst that could happen? You could probably get 3/4 of the way, and that's still so much more than where you're currently at, or go even further than what you could even imagine. So it's like we hear it sounds like a bit of a broken record, but we really need to hear it. It's like we are our own limitations. Like we are the only ones that are getting in our own way, right?
Yeah. And I always, you know, say, don't die with all these dreams inside of you, right? Like we don't often get what we dream about, but we sure as heck get what we tolerate, right? And where we're currently living is we're buying into those minimum standards of like what we're tolerating, right? So if you want to upgrade your life, just look around and start raising that level of tolerance. Totally. I'm no longer tolerating X amount of money. I'm no longer tolerating this. I'm no longer tolerating eating chips at 12 p.m., like at 12 a.m. And like, you know, like, and like really energetically, take ownership of that. But you do that in such a loving, beautiful way of not, you know, we can't shift that with judgment energy. We want to have that like curiosity. Interesting. Why am I still making the same amount of money 5 years later? There's something that's going on that I get to look at and shift.
Yes, absolutely. That's the thing. I feel like it's all about just that awareness and coming in with a space of realness, but empathy and compassion. It's like, all right, I'm being real with myself here. This isn't what I want. Why is it here? What am I going to do about it? I believe that I can do about it, and just allowing yourself to raise your own standards. And I think, you know, we hear Tony Robbins say that everyone, like, it's just raising your own standards. So with that in mind, like when people think of self-responsibility, why do you think that might be the most challenging thing for people?
Because we like to be victims.
Yeah, right. People fall in love with their beautiful, beautiful victim states because they're comfortable and they're familiar, right?
And we get so addicted to our stories.
Yes.
Right? And we actually bond with the people that are, you know, victims as well. And we just keep in that vicious cycle. So it's like, it's like looking in the mirror and taking radical responsibility for yourself and where you're at. You know?
Totally. And what I think is really important for people to know when you're in that, and we speak of victim mentality as disempowering yourself, where you're giving your power away to the external or to the stories or to the identities. And so when people start to take that radical self-responsibility, all of a sudden they are now realizing that they're going to have to grieve an identity that they've played out for so long. They may have to grieve relationships that they thought were their closest to them, and just trust that letting that go is actually of service of them too. Because if you are the, the flag flyer to us, like living life out of empowerment, then it's inviting them to do it as well. And it's inviting them to like take ownership of where they're currently at. But if you are both or all perpetuating this same sort of reality and not, someone's got to take the lead in that. Someone's got to take the lead and go for change. And if you're getting called to episodes like this and this type of realm, then whether you're comfortable or not, you are one of those flag flyers. So it's just be all in, lean into it and see what happens, right?
Absolutely. And then, the people will drop away that are no longer, meant to be in, but then that creates space for these new, beautiful soul-aligned friendships and relationships that get to flow through. So nothing's ever lost. It's I always believe people are in your life for a lifetime or a season or, really short time to
exactly.
Right?
I feel like as long as we hold everyone, like I found this as a really powerful, I guess, outlook, is just to see everyone in their own light. Like I think when we're thinking that if I leave them, then how are they going to feel? Like you're already taking, disempowering them or projecting disempowerment to them. Like they're not going to survive without you. The newsflash is everyone's got it within themselves to take ownership and find that power within themselves. So the more we're projecting disempowerment, firstly, it's a disempowerment reflection of yourself, but it's not in service of them. Wouldn't you rather shine towards them like, hey, I believe in you. Like I truly, truly believe that whatever you want, you deserve, and you've got it within you to claim and command. And so like, that's what I love about you and I, is that we see that in each other. And it's just like, cool. Like it can be years that we haven't spoken of, or I think about you and I'll drop you a voice drop, or every time you're back in town or wherever we're at, we can connect. And it's just like this, we can connect on this is what I'm actually most grateful for, is that we can talk like this, which isn't everyone's, usual way of communicating, but I freaking love it. So I'm fully embodied in owning that. But then also we can talk about like, life, like relationships, like go out and have a cocktail and embody what we know in the actual everyday. You don't have to be, this complete, and I love the woo, but you don't have to be completely one way to allow this to work within your reality, time and space. Like you can mend and integrate the both. And that I think is what we're all designed to do, right?
Yeah, it's really blending the science and the spirituality together, and having fun with that, and not, labeling ourselves as anything. It's just we're sovereign energetic beings that just get to be self-expressed.
Exactly. We're everything, but all things at once, but then, all things at once, but then anything that we want to be. So it's just like, there's literally no constraints, which is what I love. So when you think about jumping on this journey and people are like, all right, okay, self-responsibility, I'm hearing it now. What the heck will I need to look at? Because I think a lot of people are just like, oh man, this is going to be a lot of shit. Like you hear people say like in jest when they're like, I'm going to be one of your hardest clients, or I've got so much stuff. It's like, babe, we all do. Don't you worry. Like, Karen knows me for one of my longest friends. I was not always this way kind. I loved a good self-escapism. I would escape any which way that I could, whether it was drinking, whether it was any kinds of things. So it was like, I totally respect and understand and can empathize that we assume that we have this shame and guilt that we're going to be the most, in inverted commas, messed up. But when you think of people like jumping on this journey and they start to dip their toe and just really lean into it, when you think about healing, what could you, I guess, comfort them with on this journey?
Yeah, such a beautiful subject to talk about. And I just want to applaud anyone that's just starting their healing journey, right? Yeah. Or maybe you've been on it for years, and I'm just like applauding all of you, because it's not always the easiest. But I truly believe we change our beliefs around it. I always look at that belief system, right? And it's like we can choose that the healing's going to be, this tumultuous, like, so awful, and it's just going to go forever, and it's going to be so awful and really, really hard and difficult. Or we can choose, which is my belief, that it gets to be quick, it gets to be instant, the healing gets to be instant, and it gets to be with ease, grace, and flow. right? It doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges in life, but I choose that I move through life with ease, grace, and flow, and I can move through things really fast instead of it taking months and I get in this spiral and we're just, out of control.
Totally.
You can choose that you get to, embody the lessons and the learnings, but you can also shift through things and not bypass anything, but you can just move through it with ease and flow. So
absolutely.
I think the first is looking at the belief system, and then also just being really kind and compassionate to yourself, because a lot of our blocks and limitations, especially when it comes to abundance, isn't even ours. A lot of it is from our 7 generations back. But I look at healing as so empowering, because you are stripping away things that are not your natural state. So I do quantum healing sessions, and the first thing I always, say to my clients when I meet them for the first time is, there's actually nothing really to heal. And they're like, what do you mean, Karen? I'm like, well, I'm just supporting you to come back to your natural state, which is pure light and pure abundance. Your soul is pure light and abundance. Before we got these blocks, these limitations, all this programming put on us, from the ages of 0 to 7, we're getting programmed, and it's no one's fault.
Totally.
But I'm here to say, if you want to live a limitless life full of abundance in every single area of your life and just feel confident and fully self-expressed, then you're going to have to do the work to get rid of the limitations.
Unearth and lift off and totally detach.
Yeah. But the beautiful part about this is when you do the inner work and the healing, you're actually healing 7 generations back. So you're healing your ancestors, which I just think is so incredible. But you're also healing at least 7 generations forward, like your children and children. And this is epigenetics, so you can actually go and Google it. It's now proven. So I think of healing as like, wow, I'm putting my hand up for my lineage and saying, you know what, I'll do this for the family. I will go and heal that stuff so no one has to suffer. And I think, to me, it's very empowering, rather than like, oh, I've got to do all this healing. I'm like, yes, I get to change the trajectory of my life and heal so many lineages and stuff. So again, the way that you look at it, right? It's your belief system, your perspective of how you look at it. So.
Exactly. I feel that was so powerful, and just when we really reframe and just change up, because I think, 2 things, modern day constructs can have us overgiving and under receiving, not knowing what our needs are, and also valuing hard, like if it's not valuable unless I've worked my ass for it. And so that is programming that we're all doing our very best to kind of rewrite, unshackle from. But I guess if it's going to support you in the way that, like, okay, that speaks to me where I'm at right now, then if you are a giver, just know what you are giving to your family. Like, you are giving your kids this opportunity to not embody these generational wounds or these generational hangups that they don't deserve to have. Because when we look at these kids, you can see the purity of, like, these are just beautiful souls. And I have, it is my job, duty, and honor to be able to let them stay in this form as much and as long and as more aligned as they can. Like, that's a beautiful, beautiful gift. Adversity, I also believe, is a beautiful, beautiful gift, because we move through and learn so much about ourselves. But regardless, like, why wouldn't you want to do this for your family before and the family to come and all the ones in your life, your loved ones, by putting your hand up and being like, right, cool, I'll do the work. I'll take that responsibility for me, and because we all deserve this. So I think that is a really, really beautiful act of selflessness, but also coming home to yourself.
I love that. And something else that's coming through that I want to share is, like, healing is going to be a journey, right? It's like this onion layer. Like, there's always these different beautiful, it's like an onion. And, you might hit a really beautiful income goal that you've been working on, and then you go to the next income goal, and then you've got all this other stuff come up. You're like, I thought I dealt with that already. And it's just like, when you go to that new level, there's going to be some other stuff that comes up. So I'm here to say, you don't need to be perfectly healed and, to start your business or to live the life of your dreams. Like, it's this beautiful work in progress, right? So it's not like sitting there and digging away at all this stuff that we've got to do. Like, yes, we still have to do the work and don't bypass, but you can still create a business, or you can still do all this stuff without being perfectly healed, because that's just
Yeah.
not going to be the case, right? So
Totally. Absolutely. You used a beautiful word just then, and it was called bypass. So I think a lot of people want to ram like the work done and just bypass to get to there, wherever they believe there is. In terms of bypassing, I think what I've witnessed is people want to rapidly do the work, and they've got the right, and they absolutely can and should and desire to. But where bypassing might play out in this line of work is doing the work, intellectualizing it, and not allowing it to drop down into the body and really feel it. So where do you feel that that plays out, or what's your experience within that, if any?
yeah, that's so awesome. Like, I feel like sometimes it's very mindy, like
Yeah.
we've checked the box, we've done this and this, but I think one of the biggest pieces that people miss is the embodiment piece, right?
Yes.
You know, you've got your mindset, which is 50%, but then you've got the rest of your body, which is the other 50%. So why not use all of it? And, you know, about 5 or 6 years ago, I didn't actually realize that your emotions can get stored in your organs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your nervous system is huge when it comes to like storing your unconscious beliefs, right? We get that crystallized stuff in the nervous system, which cause blockages.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're only working at a mindset level and processing it through your mind, but then your nervous system is completely, you know, bent out of shape, and you know you're just always in fight or flight and survival,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be harder to embody the lessons and the learnings, right? So that's why I like to work holistically, you know, emotional body, mental body, spiritual body, astral body, you know, energetic body, physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So when you bring all those bodies into harmony, that's when you can really shift and upgrade super fast. So for example, like, you know, I've seen some clients that, again, doing all the mindset work, which is amazing. We want to do the mindset work. It's such a powerful tool.
Yeah.
But her physical body was so dense that she was trying to shift up into that new bandwidth, but she kept getting dropped back vibrationally because of her physical body was so dense. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely does. Absolutely.
Yeah, so she just kept hitting that cap and couldn't break through onto that next level. So, and again, it's you know, breath work is great for releasing emotions as well, like any nervous system work, you know, the somatic healing. It doesn't have to be this, again, long drawn out process either as well. It can be with ease, grace and flow. But yeah, really feeling the emotions that come up. And a lot of the time we don't need to go digging and find out where it all stemmed from and relive all that stuff. We can just really tune, you know, your body is always communicating to you.
Totally.
But are we listening? You know, like when you have a headache, do you say, hang on, body, like what's going on? Like, why are you stressed out? Why do you have a headache? Or do we just go pop a Advil and just
it's overridden, doesn't it? Yeah.
The body's always communicating. So like you can just sit in meditation and, you know, do some breath work, but also tune in, like, where am I storing anger in my body? Body, talk to me, communicate. Well, where am I storing frustration? Like, you know, that's usually the liver or the gallbladder, but talk to your body, and then you can just ask it to release with the exhale. You know, and I think a lot of the time with the healing, we can embody the lessons and the learnings, and we can hold on to the trauma, or we can embody the lessons and the learnings, but we can't do both. So it's really embodying the lessons and the learnings and then choosing to let the trauma go.
I love that. That's powerful. Thank you, babe. That's awesome. I think, you know, what you take from that is just allowing your body to communicate to you and not try override it with your mind of like, no, that doesn't make sense. It's just allow and allow. It doesn't always need to make linear sense, but just know that the body is there and it's so intelligent, and it holds this intelligence, and it's forever trying to communicate in order to come back to itself in that innate state of ease, flow, and grace. And it's just when we think of where that emotion is and say it shows up in your left bicep, don't try to question it. Just honor and allow and release. It doesn't need to make logical, intellectual sense. And I think the mind is brilliant. I love and I'm obsessed with the mind and the neurological formatting, but I think we can steer all our awareness. Like, it needs to make sense in the ways that I understand things for it to be real. It's like, what if you just let that go and just allowed it to just communicate as it shows up in its raw form? Like, how powerful would that be?
Love that. Love that. And even like setting an intention when you're exercising, because movement also really helps to shift these stuck emotions in our bodies, right? So even when you're exercising, set that intention that you are now releasing whatever emotions, in your system that you can resonate with.
Yeah.
Set the intention to release it.
Let it go. Yeah. Oh, so powerful. Well, babe, thank you. Thank you for your time. I guess if we could leave our listeners with one, piece of gold, knowing that when this airs, it's going to be January. It is going to be that new vibe, that new feel. We're going to teleport ourselves in there now. What would you, or whenever they listen to it, to be honest, and we understand from especially what we were just speaking to earlier, you can rewrite your story at any point. It doesn't need to be Monday, the 1st of January, the first day of summer, whatever it is. Knowing whenever they interface with this episode, what is one piece of gold that you are getting called to leave them with?
I just feel 2024 has such magic energy to it. This is really, this is infinite possibilities. This is like we've done, the last 3 or 4 years has been a lot for a lot of people in humanity. And I think it's really time to just expand from that and just what else is possible, right? And just really focus on vibrating so high, focus on your own vibration and really become the creator of your reality. Like, start asking some really powerful questions of like, what else is possible? Like, those quality questions or magical questions.
Yes. I just felt that. Ask powerful questions, quality questions. Like, why not?
It's like, instead of like, why is this not working, or why do I have no money, or why does this suck? Like, we're so conditioned to ask the wrong questions, but
ask those limiting questions, right?
But it's these little tiny tweaks, that little refinement. You just flip that question around. I'm like in the morning, you can just like wake up and like, why am I so magical? Like, why am I such a magnet for all of my desires? Yeah. Like, it's just like, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, I now request a day of heaven on earth. Show me, universe. How does it get any better than this? And like, that momentum starts brewing. And yeah, I just really feel like it's just like, stretch yourself, lean into the edges. What else? And keep asking what else is possible. Like, 2024 has such a beautiful like essence to it. And I just think, go for it, my loves. Like,
yes,
enough waiting around, and I'll wait till I feel ready. I'll wait till I feel confident. I'll wait till I've lost 10 pounds or whatever it is. Like, enough of the waiting.
Yes.
Now is the time to do it.
That aligned action, that embodiment, and just that stretching the edges, because the more you lean in, the more will be revealed, the more will be on offer. I love that. So where can people find you, and in the work that you do, and if they're wanting to just explore the styles of modalities that you offer, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, the Karen Louise, and then Karen Louise on Facebook as well. And then I also, my website is thekarenlouise.com. So
I love
the Karen Louise is pretty straightforward, but I'd love to connect with you. My heart and inbox is always open and here to be of service.
Oh, I love that. Well, from me to you, one of my oldest besties from high school, to here, being able to connect in this realm of self-development, spirituality, like universal law, and what else is freaking possible, the limitlessness. I adore every time we connect. I absolutely love our conversations, our voice drops, our check-ins, our catch-ups in person. They are just so always inspiring. So thank you. Thank you for being my very first guest. I appreciate you so much, the person that you are, the soul that you are, and the work that you do. So thank you, babe.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for all the beautiful things you're doing for your community and your audience. It's like creating ripples, and you're making such impact. So keep shining your beautiful, bright light.
Oh, thank you, babe. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning on in. If you are wanting more information, we can put that in the show notes for sure. But until next week, take care of you.